NVIDIA holds a giant conference, DeepMind buys and Open-Sources MuJoCo, and Google predicts what you're gonna write in a spreadsheet. Welcome to ML News. Hello, this video is sponsored by NVIDIA actually. Not just NVIDIA, but they want to raise awareness for their GTC conference, which happens November 8th through 11 this year. Now there is something in it for you. If you use my link to register to this, you can win a 3090. So these GPUs are super rare nowadays, and one is allocated just for my link to register. So you're not competing with the rest of YouTube, you're just competing with anyone that uses my link. So if you're interested, use the link in the description to register to the conference. Now the conference is actually relevant for a machine learning audience because NVIDIA is not only talking about NVIDIA, though I love the "What will Jensen Huang's keynote reveal" banner right here, being super mysterious and all. Okay, NVIDIA says I should hype up the keynote more. So this keynote is going to be the maddest keynote you've ever seen. You remember last keynote where Jensen Huang was like rendered and NVIDIA made this big deal about how they rendered him and this was like a big effort. Then they had to correct themselves and state that it was actually only for 14 seconds and not for the entire keynote, because that's kind of what they alluded to at the beginning. I reported about this in ML News. It was epic, and I guess this keynote is going to be epic again. Will he finally reveal what the leather jacket is made of? If you haven't seen yet, on Twitter, if you use the hashtag GTC'21, it actually renders a little leather jacket next to it. And I think NVIDIA paid for this. Like, isn't this the greatest marketing, like, business decision by Twitter? They're able to sell hashtags. Insane. And I don't know what's gonna happen, but I've come across this, the Omniverse, which is in beta, and there's kind of speculation that that's going to be one of the topics. I didn't know this existed. This is sort of like a real-time rendering framework that's based on Pixar's Universal Scene Description and NVIDIA RTX. And it's pretty insane. So apparently this is real time. This is an entire framework where you can do like real-time ray tracing. Look at this. This looks great. I don't know how many RTXs you need for that one, but it's pretty insane. This used to take like insane amounts of rendering time. And yeah, the fact that it's real time, really cool. But they have invited a bunch of speakers to talk about all kinds of stuff in graphics, in machine learning, and in many other areas of computation. So they really want this to be a big thing, this conference. And you can see this. These are just some of the speakers. You can see Fei-Fei Li is speaking, Ilya Sami, and many others that you might know of. So these are 3 pages of speakers that are really big in their industry. NVIDIA is spending a ton of cash right here to give you essentially free content. Now you do need to register to watch all of these talks, but it's free. And as I said, you can win a 3090. Now, before we go on, I would like to say that the condition for the sponsorship of NVIDIA was that the video must be available in English and in German, which is weird, you know, but since I speak German, I can do that. So this video is available as not a copy, but an equivalent in a German version. So if this is not the language you expected, switch over to the other video. And I promise I'll just put on my absolute best impression of a real German. So a little bit more about this conference. While the keynote is obviously the main event right here, NVIDIA revealing what they're gonna do, which, given NVIDIA's size and dominance, is quite relevant for the entire deep learning world. There are over 500 sessions. If you look at the schedule, there are 15 sessions just dedicated to PyTorch and 12 dedicated to TensorFlow. And those aren't the only deep learning sessions. There are many, many more. As you can see, there is a plethora of industry types and topics that people are going to talk about. It's like an endless list. So rest assured that during these 4 days, you can just bathe in NVIDIA content for 24 hours a day. Now, along with the conference, there are these instructor-led workshops that give you hands-on experience in certain things. For example, building transformer-based natural language processing applications. They do cost a little bit of money, but they're hands-on. So if you're interested in that, take a look. So I don't know what more to say. They, as I said, it's completely free content. They're throwing a bunch of money to get really good speakers, and you can win a graphics card. And look at them frame numbers. We all know more frames means that you're a better gamer. So get the 3090 now. Link is in the description. Check out all the talks and the sessions that happen at the conference. And I wish you a really pleasant experience. NVIDIA is really trying to gear up this conference to make it a big deal. And as it seems, it is actually a big deal. Next news. DeepMind has apparently bought MuJoCo, which is one of the primary simulation softwares for robotics. This has been used again and again, not only in robotics, but also in deep learning, in reinforcement learning, in all of these kinds of settings to do continuous control simulations. As you can see here, this works pretty well. This is a real flipping, flippity, spinnity spin, and here you see one in MuJoCo. Now, the trouble with MuJoCo has always been that it was proprietary, and not only that, not only was it not open source, but you had to pay quite a bit of money for it. So now apparently DeepMind has bought and open sourced MuJoCo. Replication efforts have been underway, but very often these simulators, they are built for gaming or something like this, and they neglect effects such as these gyroscopic effects right here, which you can see that MuJoCo apparently has a good balance between realism and accuracy for these kinds of simulations. And not only that, but it is also fast enough so you can do reinforcement learning with it. And DeepMind has used this extensively. This is all apparently from DeepMind's works. You can see how versatile this simulator is. So now DeepMind has bought it and makes it available to everyone, which is pretty cool. Now, is this really out of kind-heartedness? Maybe, actually. Maybe they just want to get some good PR out there, or maybe they want to do another Nature publication. And Nature publications do force you, I believe, to open source pretty much anything that you have to achieve the publications. Whatever it might be, it's pretty cool that DeepMind does it. The code base is apparently in C, so it's portable, compilable pretty much anywhere. Yeah, give it a try. Looking forward to playing around with this. PyTorch releases release 1.10. This brings a number of improvements, such as the inclusion of the CUDA Graphs API. Now, CUDA Graphs is an API. It's not for machine learning on graphs, not for graph neural networks, but it is for defining graphs of operations over CUDA kernels. In this case here, every letter is a CUDA kernel, such as a matrix multiplication or an addition of two things. And you used to have to put one CPU instruction for each one of the CUDA kernels. So the CPU had to say, now you do a matrix multiplication, now you add two things, and so on. Now the CUDA Graphs API enables you to, with a single CPU instructions, instruct the GPU to perform an entire graph of operations. And this is now available in PyTorch. And not only that, they have a few other things, notably the torch.special module, which replicates scipy.special. So if you've used these functions in NumPy, in SciPy, now they're available in Torch. And there are some more, such as the NN module parameterization. This enables you that, for example, if you want to change the normalization function in a module, you used to have to re-implement the module to subclass it and essentially re-implement it while replacing the normalization itself. And now, apparently, you can simply, from the outside, say, I want to change the normalization, or I want to change different things inside of a module. So it makes PyTorch code more friendly towards experimentation, towards swapping out individual parts. There are a bunch of other different new things in PyTorch 1.10, but it seems to be a cool release. If you can upgrade, give it a try. Google has a new blog post, and along with a paper. The paper is called Spreadsheet Coder Formula Prediction from Semi-Structured Context. This is a cool paper because it helps you to write formulas in spreadsheets. Now, Google Spreadsheets is a pretty big project, and this feature is now available to anyone using Google Spreadsheets. So what it's going to do is it's going to essentially bring the tab complete that you might be used to from Gmail or from Google Docs into the formula section function of a spreadsheet. So as soon as you type the equal symbol, it's going to try to predict what formula you're trying to write. It takes into consideration the values of the things around you, takes into consideration what you called the headers and the row headers. So for example, here, the row is called total, and therefore it might be reasonable to assume that you want the sum of the column above. Whereas over here, you called the header %change. So the system infers that you probably, given that you have no values above as well, that you probably want to do something with the totals of the other two columns. This is not hard-coded. This is all learned from a big corpus, and this is, as I said, now available for anyone using Google Spreadsheets. So the system seems to be quite of an engineering effort. So they have a row-based BERT encoder, column-based BERT encoder. They have convolutions in there. They aggregate and then they decode using an LSTM. I guess this had to go through a bunch of iterations before they got really nicely working system, but now it actually made it into a product. And this is something that we see rarely nowadays, that research to product is actually happening. So pretty cool and benefits anyone that uses Google Spreadsheets. They also do a lot of ablations, and you can see that in their tests for various length of context and things they want to predict, they do reach a pretty decent accuracy. So almost 50% accuracy in formulas you might want to write. Now, I don't know what 50% accuracy actually means, because most people just want like the sum or the mean of anything, but nonetheless, it's a pretty cool development. If you want to check out more, check out the Spreadsheet Coder paper. Try it out. A cool project that I saw on Reddit is Handtracking.io. This is a completely in-browser hand tracking demo, and this focuses around detecting special poses that your hand does. For example, detecting when you pinch your fingers or when you make a fist, and then mapping those things to various actions. You can actually try this out. So this fully runs in your browser. As you can see, it tracks my hand. If I make a fist, the screen clears. And if I pinch my fingers, it doesn't work all too well. Maybe it's because I have a green screen or anything else. Maybe it works above my face. It does not too well. But you can see, if you go slowly, yeah, this is pretty cool. So this is MIT licensed. It's available on GitHub and up for you to check it out, or simply try it in this browser. It's up to you what you do with it. Pretty cool. Kaggle has a new challenge on cell instance segmentation. Now, this is a challenging task. You get a bunch of microscopy images, and your task is to segment single instances of cells, so neurons in tissue, and you need to detect where they are. Now, apparently, this is a hard task that is, as of yet, pretty weakly solved, and this challenge is supposed to get us there faster. If you want to do something cool with computer vision that also has a direct application in medicine, this challenge might be for you. Okay, some helpful libraries and things that I've encountered this week. Control Flag by Intel Labs is a library that will detect source code mistakes or anti-patterns or bugs or anything like this. So this is a self-supervised system. It learns by itself. It's essentially a big language model or a pattern model that recognizes common patterns in code bases and then is able to recognize when a given pattern is uncommon. Therefore, if you write something that's probably a bug, then it will detect it as an uncommon pattern and notify you to it. This is more than just bugs, so this is not specifically trained on a supervised data set where someone says, here's a bug, here's not a bug. This is, as I said, a self-supervised system that is specific to source code, and right now it actually works in C and I believe also in Verilog. But it's a matter of time before someone takes this and expands this to new languages and trains it on new languages. So the source code for the source code checker is available on GitHub. You can try it out. You can train it, in fact, yourself. You can let it run over your own code base. The only issue is that if you write a bug that lots of other people write too, it won't detect it, right? Because it's not an uncommon pattern. But, you know, that's life, I guess. Salina by Facebook Research is a lightweight library for sequential learning agents, including reinforcement learning. So this is a library that is supposed to make it really easy to write very complex sequential models, like sequential decision-making models, where you have to perform actions in a row in some sort of sense. The library is purposefully very general, but it's fairly easy to write something like an A2C agent. You can see it right here. This is the entire A2C agent right here. But it's not only for reinforcement learning, it is any kind of complex sequential decision-making process. If you're interested in that kind of research, if the RL libraries that are available just didn't do it for you quite yet, maybe give Salina a try. Speaking of sequences, Why Data Synthetic is a generator library for synthetic structured data. So this is a library that you can give data to. It will learn the data in some sort of a generative fashion, and it will be able to give you synthetic data to work with. So this can be due to privacy reasons. It can be because you don't have enough of some data and you want to generate more of it. This can be because you simply want to test on something that's not real data. So there are various reasons why you would do something like this. Specifically, this right here is for tabular data and time series data, which are often data that is not that easy to work with. Most of our things like GANs work on images. We have some text generators, but having another library available for tabular and time series data is quite cool. So if this is of interest to you, give Why Data Synthetic a try. They have some easy examples. For example, right here, they want to train a GAN to produce one particular class of their fraud data set. You can see as the training progresses, the GAN gets better and better at modeling this light blue data. And, you know, presumably if you train it for more, it's going to get even better. And then you have a generator for data. You don't need real data anymore. Who needs data? AIM is an open source ML platform. So this is another experiment tracker, but it is work in progress. It's ongoing progress. It's open source. It's raw. If you're into things like Arch Linux or writing your own bootloader and things like this, AIM might be a cool project for you. The new version specifically deals with scales. So they used to have problems when you have lots and lots and lots of experiments to track, but now even this is solved. So it seems like a cool GitHub project, a thing that you might even get involved with, and everything's available on GitHub, as I said, integrates with common frameworks, pretty easy to get going with it. As you can see, there is a roadmap with lots of things to do. If you have fun contributing to open source, maybe give AIM a try. And lastly, RobustBench is a standardized benchmark for adversarial robustness. It is a benchmark. If you think you have an adversarial defense or an attack, then this is a benchmark where you can simply plug it in and see how it does versus various things. They also have 80 plus state-of-the-art pre-trained robust models via the Model Zoo. So you can attack models that have been robustified. I guess you can do that in white box, black box settings and so on. If you're into adversarial examples, give RobustBench a try. This is some rather funny news. CBS Local in San Francisco writes, or rather reports, that there is apparently a street where Waymo cars, they keep coming in, hitting a dead end, turning around, and then going out again. And this apparently happens every 5 minutes. The Waymo cars, as you can see, they have drivers, but I think they are testing the driverless systems. Sometimes you can see the drivers, they manipulate the steering wheel. So I'm not sure what exactly happens. Neither are they, neither are the drivers, apparently. So no one's exactly sure what they're doing there. Apparently the drivers are simply following the programming of the car. You see there's a hand on the steering wheel. So I'm not entirely sure what's going on, but the Waymo is really exploring this one particular dead end really hard. So safe to say there's probably some sort of a routing issue going on here where the cars are told to go this particular way, then the cars detect that there's a dead end, then they turn around, but they never somehow update the fact that they cannot go through there. It's either this or they have like an automated exploration system where they think, oh, I haven't explored this part of the city yet, I need to go and map it, and every time they go there they realize they can't go through. Something like this must be happening. I guess it's pretty funny. I'm looking forward to the world of driverless cars where teenagers simply cheese the cars and see how many of them they can get stuck in a single cul-de-sac or dead end or something like this. Good future to look forward to. And lastly, I saw this right here. Now this is pretty cool. This is by a company called BlueRiver Technology, and they are aiming to be sort of the Boston Dynamics of agriculture. You can see that their control systems, essentially they're the same control systems that you're used to. It just looks absolutely spectacular when it's built into some sort of an agricultural machine like a tractor or anything like this. This is obviously just a demo. They have a full website that is, as you can see, full with corporate-y pictures and corporate speech and so on. But it seems very cool that AI is coming to real disciplines like agriculture. It has a real potential to do both good for the environment, because you might need to use less fertilizers and so on if you can put it more targeted, and save a bunch of money. I don't know, maybe it's a terrible thing. Who knows? I don't. But I do see definitely a lot of potential for AI in these domains. Nature plus robots has never ever turned bad in the history of anything. You know, something to look forward to. And everyone's smiling, of course. Everyone's just chilling around smiling. That is a company that is, you need to go work there. All right, that was it for ML News this week. I hope you enjoyed. Again, thanks to NVIDIA for sponsoring this video. Register to GTC using the link, win a 3090. Sleep well, exercise, eat good food, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.